stairwell I got high. Clear. Moving. Okay, next shot. Top of the stairs. Gotta get up there quick. Move. Get the door. Get the door.
Ready to die, bitch?
Hi, and thank you very much for all of your support of GunGuyTV. I'm Joel Persinger, and yes, this is the follow-up to the bag video. And there's a reason why I have this little follow-up. One is because I wanted to complete the list of things I put in the bag, but also because after having published the other video a couple days ago, or maybe it was a day ago, I don't know anymore, what I found is there were a lot of comments in the comment section where people were a little confused, I think, on the purpose of the bag and why I'm building it. And I wasn't terribly clear about that to begin with. So first of all, forgive me for the noise in the background. We're having a bit of a heat wave right now, so I've got the AC running in the shop and I've got a couple of fans running, so that's what you're hearing. And the other thing I will ask you to forgive me about is this might be a little bit longer video than I intend, but I'll try as best I can to be concise. If you watch my show, you know that I suck at that. Maybe it's the Italian in me, I don't know. I'll try to not talk with my hands. I should be fine. All right, so first of all, let me clarify what I'm trying to do with this bag. Because this bag is the one I'm trying to pack for two reasons. Those two reasons are, one, it's my day-to-day work bag. I need my laptop every day for work because we own and run Practical Defense Systems. It's more or less an online training company, and we do teach some live classes, but 90% of the classes we sell are online. So I've got to be able to respond to customers, help them log in if they forget their credentials or whatever. Plus we have a couple of rental properties. I got to be able to go back and forth with vendors or tradespeople or what have you. So I have my laptop with me every day, and I pretty much use it every day when I leave the property, when I leave the house, okay? Now this bag originally started out as just my laptop bag with whatever, my lunch or whatever else I wanted to throw in it during the day. And then because I was shooting video for GunGuyTV and shooting video for Practical Defense Systems and so on, one day I put all my GoPro stuff in there and all the GoPro accessories and all that kind of stuff, and those sort of never left. And they added a lot of weight to the bag, and I was carting the GoPros around all the time when I wasn't using them all the time. So there's no reason for me to cart cameras around just because. So I thought, well, this is stupid, because I had this bag that was doing that. My work bag and all of my GoPro stuff. And then I had this bag, which was the, emergency kit. Well, that's stupid, okay? So I'm looking at that going, I don't want to have two bags. I want to consolidate it down to just one big bag and one small bag. So this is the bag I'm gathering together to have it be the bag that has my laptop and all the laptop accessories and my emergency, standard sort of emergency kit for San Diego County. And I'll talk about specifics of what I intend to use it for and where that specific bag would be useful in a minute. I have other bags for other places. All right, so instead of having all the GoPro stuff in that bag, all the GoPro stuff is in this bag and in this bag, which I will only take with me along with my camera bag with my other cameras and tripods and like that if I'm going to go shoot video. If I'm not, there's no reason for me to cart all this around. So now it has its own place, its own bag of stuff, and that's a separate bag of tricks I'm not going to talk about today. All right, so first and foremost, that's what I meant in the first video when I said I want to pare it down to one bag. Some folks, I think, misunderstood me and thought I was building one bag for all situations. No, that's not what I'm doing. So in order to clarify that, let's clarify what this bag is for. In order to clarify what the bag is for, I have to clarify where it would be used. I live in San Diego County, California. And if you're not from California, or even if you are, you're probably of the impression that the ground shakes here all the time. We have two major natural disasters we face here on a regular basis. One is brush fires, and the other is earthquakes. If you're in Los Angeles, or you're in San Francisco, Both of those cities are sitting on a major fault. You've probably heard of the San Andreas Fault, for example. Where I live, I am not sitting on a major fault. Now, we do have a fault that goes through San Diego, the city of San Diego. It goes all the way through it, and that's the Rose Canyon Fault. That's a major fault line. And then there's another one called the Elsinore Fault, which is way east of me. So the Rose Canyon Fault is way west of me. The Elsinore Fault is way east of me. We're not sitting on a fault line where I live. My house has been standing here for over 70 years. We've done some work on it to strengthen it even. And in that period of time, and in my entire lifetime, and I'm closer to 70 than 60, I'm 66, I've lived here my whole life. We've gone through some major earthquakes, and we've never had any incredibly major damage here, other than in areas where there were mudslides as a result of it. But that was generally because there was an earthquake after a heavy rain, and those are only in specific areas where the banks were not maintained well or whatever. But as far as buildings being shaken to the ground, freeways being knocked down, I have no memory of that ever happening in San Diego County, and certainly not in the area where I live, because even when it's a major earthquake on the Rose Canyon Fault, we get a shake, but nothing like they do when they're sitting on top of that fault. Okay, so why do I explain this? Because the likelihood of an earthquake hitting where I live that is significant enough to cause major damage like what happened in the Rose Canyon Fault, or in the Northridge earthquake up in LA, is very, very small. It could happen, sure, but it would have to be the big one. It would have to be a whopper. We get earthquakes all the time. We've had earthquakes in the 4 point whatever range in San Diego, 4.8, 4 point whatever. And I jokingly say that I get bigger shakes in my house when the trash truck drives down the street. We just don't get affected by those much where I live, okay? Now, that being said, let me explain to you where I go within San Diego County most of the time, because I think we're all creatures of habit. We have workplaces we go to, we have favorite restaurants and so on. I work from home, as does my wife. We're both retired. She's retired from the school district. I'm retired. She still works part-time as a speech and language pathologist with little kids, 2 years old to 3 years old, but she only takes clients within 5 miles of our house. I teach at Practical Defense Systems, which we own, and I qualify people on the range. But I don't do that every day. Most days I work from home. I probably, if you combine teaching and qualifying people on the range, on a busy week, I'll work 4 days. On an average week, I'll work 2, and once in a while, I'll work 3. So better than 50% of the time, I'm working from home, and I am home. Now, the range where I qualify people and our classroom in Mission Valley are both less than 10 miles from my home. And if I were to walk from either one of them to my home, I would be walking through nice, low-crime neighborhoods. I wouldn't have to traverse any bad neighborhoods to do that. So even if an earthquake hit and tore up the roads and I couldn't drive the truck, maybe I'd be able to drive part of the way, but not all the way, I could walk the rest of the distance easily, since I'm accustomed to walking and hiking a 5-mile hike 3 times a week over rough terrain, hills, valleys, and dirt and trails and whatever, and I can knock out that 5-mile hike in about an hour and 45 minutes if I take my time. So if I have to hike 10 miles, it's a 3 to 4 hour hike for me, and it's not a big deal. I'm in good enough shape to do that. Even carrying a pack, because I carry a pack when I hike. So that's the environment in which I would use this pack. The overwhelming majority of the time, if there were a natural disaster in San Diego, earthquake or whatever, even if it was a pretty serious one, I would be able to get in my truck and drive home, because the roads are not going to be destroyed. Now, that's different than where our house is. We have a rental house in El Centro in Imperial County. They're sitting on a fault, and that house has actually been damaged in a serious earthquake, and roads have been broken apart down in Calexico, Mexicali, and down in that area over there. So that's a higher risk area, but I don't live there. And if I go out there to El Centro or Yuma, I take this bag, but also take an additional bag that I set aside for that, and additional gear that's desert specific and specific to that trip. So this is not a go everywhere, do everything bag. This is a within San Diego County on my normal business day or normal recreational day bag, okay? So it has to accommodate me for a maximum of 3 days, but the truth is, most of the time, if I need it at all, I won't need it for more than 3 or 4 hours because I'll just be walking home. So that's the whole idea behind this bag, and that's why it does not have everything from soup to nuts in it. Here's the other thing, is it's a general bag because I don't know, based upon what has occurred, whether that's some form of civil unrest. Let me talk about that briefly. While civil unrest is not uncommon in Los Angeles and San Francisco, it is quite uncommon in San Diego. It has happened here. I mean, we just don't have riots here. We had one Black Lives Matter small thing that happened over in the city of La Mesa. The sheriff's department shut it down pretty quickly. Yes, they did burn down a couple of buildings, but then they tried to do it in other cities, and they found out that was not a good idea. They literally got run out of Santee by the residents. They thought about going to Lakeside out here in East County, not a good plan. They thought about going to El Cajon, not a good plan. Then they went to Santee and they found out that wasn't a good plan either. And then all of a sudden they got very peaceful and they had peaceful marches in San Diego, but they didn't try any more nonsense here because we won't put up with it in this town. San Diego City has become sort of blue-ish, but the rest of the county is not. Okay, the majority of San Diego County, you get up North County, East County, that's very red territory, very conservative territory, and everybody has guns and whatever, and they don't take a lot of crap from anybody. And I live in the east part of the county, in East County. So if you go downtown, yeah, you'd hear San Diego's very liberal and like that. Well, the San Diego government is, but the rest of the county is not necessarily. So there you are. So is civil unrest likely in this county? No. Could it happen? Sure. Is it likely in LA? Yeah. Is it likely to have a monstrous, horrible earthquake that would break a lot of stuff in LA? Sure. Same thing for San Francisco. San Diego is a different place. I know it's in California, but it's as different as chalk from cheese. Okay, it's just a different place, and that's where I live, and that's where I would use this bag. Now, when I go to LA or Orange County or any of those places, I actually have another bag that is my crappy city bag that augments this bag. I take it with me when I'm going up there. It's not my desert bag, that's a different bag. So I have different bags for different things because I know I may need different things when I go, okay? They augment this bag. This bag always goes. So, now that you know what the bag is for and what my intention is with it, I'm loading it up with far more than I will ever need, because I don't know whether this is going to be an earthquake situation, a flood situation where perhaps Mission Valley is flooded more than it normally does during the winter, or perhaps, you know, maybe there is a terrorist attack, a localized terrorist attack I have to be concerned about, or whatever. That's entirely possible. A nuclear strike in San Diego, this bag ain't helping me any. I'm going to be dead along with anybody else. So I'm not worried about that. But a localized attack, yeah, I probably might need to hunker down. So in the event that I would have to stay put, I want to be able to stay put for at least 3 days, which gives me time, because I have food and water and whatever, gives me time to sort out where am I going to get more provisions and what do I do now. So it buys me some time. If I'm just going to go home, I'm going to get in the truck and drive home. And if I can't drive home, I'm just going to go and walk, maybe. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. All right, now that I've explained what the bag is for, let me show you what I'm going to put in it, and you'll have a better understanding of what else I'm adding and perhaps why. So let's start off with food. Well, I'll tell you what, let's start off with communications, because communications is a big deal. Two things I did a little differently. One is I found a smaller radio that takes one less battery, works great, it has a little earpiece with it, so I took the other one out. This one's going in, weighs less battery use, makes more sense. So that's going in there just to listen to the AM and FM stations so I can gather information before I go anywhere. And then in addition, I've got a ham radio here, a little Baofeng UV82, I think. This thing is programmed for all the local repeaters. I am a ham radio, an amateur radio operator, so I have a license and I can use it, and I do. I've got a bunch of these. Put a better antenna on it so that it would have a little bit more reach, a little 5-watt radio, and I put an extended battery, and I have another battery in the bag. So plenty of battery, plus I'm going to throw the charger in there so that if I have to hunker down someplace, which is possible, we'll talk about that in a minute, then I've got this so I can listen. Primarily I want to use this for listening, not so much for transmitting. I want to hear what local ham radio operators are saying about the disaster if there is a major disaster, which, as I say, I think is unlikely in San Diego, but it could happen. So these things are mostly for gathering information. I would use my cell phone and the Garmin InReach, where I can send texts through the Iridium satellite network as my communication tool for the most part. I'm probably not going to use the ham radio very much for that, unless I want to hit the repeater to find out information and ask about a specific location, see if any operators know about it. Other than that, I would use it more as a listening device to gather information. All right, with regard to gathering information, one other thing I think you should put in the pack, I'm going to put in this one, is a good set of small, powerful, quality binoculars. Now these are really old. This is some Remington binoculars I've used forever. Belong to my dad. They're 9x20 and they're stainless steel and next to indestructible, and they go in here. I've carted them around with me and used them hunting for years. Obviously I have more powerful binoculars. I've got some Zeiss binoculars I keep in the truck. I've got some Trigicons I use for glassing all the time, but they're heavy, and while they're in the truck I might not be able to get to the truck, so it's important to have these in the bag. Just a small set of quality binoculars so that the lenses are clear and you can use them even in low light a little bit to scout, because you may want to, if you walk home, which I would suggest you don't do unless you absolutely have to, but if you walk home, you may come to an area where it's a little sketchy. You may have found out that there's stuff going on there. You might want to find a place where you're not easily spotted and just sit and glass that area for an hour or two and see what happens. If somebody else is walking through the area and they get victimized, murdered, beaten, robbed, whatever, then you know you don't want to go through there. If one or two people walk through that area and they're completely unmolested, then you're good to go. And so this is some stuff that you're going to be able to tell more easily from a greater distance if you have some magnification like a small binocular. All right, also I would suggest you get some maps. You probably don't need them if your cell phone is charged and you have downloaded a GPS app that will put the maps resident on your phone, because Google and MapQuest normally will download the maps of wherever you are dynamically as you travel. So if you don't have a cell connection and you don't have a connection where you can download data, you're not going to be able to get that information, and those apps are useless to you if the cell towers go down. Karta GPS, K-A-R-T-A, is one that I use that you can actually download the entire state that you want. I have California, Arizona, Nevada, since those are the ones I'm normally on, and I update them regularly. As a matter of fact, I just updated them yesterday so that whether I have a cell signal or not, I have the latest maps of those areas, and it functions just like Google or MapQuest. It just has the maps resident on my phone rather than pulling them down dynamically. Now, if you have a cell connection, it will also tell you if there's an accident or whatever, but without the cell connection, you can still navigate. Now, if you don't have that, or your phone dies, or you can't recharge it, or you dropped it and broke it or whatever, it's good to have some paper maps just in case you need to reroute yourself. And it would be good to have a compass so that you know which way is which and learn how to use it. If you don't know how to use a compass like this, there's 1,000,001 videos on how to do it, so I'm not going to go through it with you. It's easy to find. Corporal's Corner does a great job on using compasses and basic navigation, so go look at that. Also, some personal items. I would throw in an extra pair of socks for sure, maybe an extra shirt if you're wearing a t-shirt or whatever. If you're in the area that I'm in, it's going to be t-shirt weather most of the time. Maybe small tube of toothpaste, a toothbrush, floss, deodorant, in case you are having to hunker down someplace, which you probably won't have to do, but it's good to have it in case you do. And then I'm going to throw in a little bit more paracord because I think it's always positive and it doesn't weigh hardly anything. So if I need more, that would be a good thing. A viewer, subscriber, sent me in a note on Rumble suggesting that I throw in a pair of good leather work gloves because he lived through the Northridge earthquake and found that everything in its grandmother not only wanted to, but did cut his hands as he was trying to move things around. And because stuff falls and it's sharp and you can injure yourself. Well, I always keep a set of gloves like this in the glove box of my truck, hence the reason it's called a glove box. But I might not be able to get to the truck. So now I went down to Home Depot and I bought a pair that I can throw in the bag. So I have some work gloves in the bag. And then finally, well, not totally finally, but close to finally, just some basic food. Beef jerky because I want the protein. Some apricots because I want the fiber, some mixed nuts because again I want the protein, and I want the salt that's in them. And the other thing is the same thing with the beef jerky. I want the electrolytes out of those. I'm putting food in there that's just food I would eat anyway. I'm not going to buy MREs or whatever because I'll never eat them. I hate them. These I'll eat anyway, so if I notice, they're on the top of the bag, so if I notice that they're getting close to the expiration date, which is June 25, 2025 on this one, then I'll eat them and I'll just stop at the store and get some more and put them in there. And I have some of this kind of stuff at my classroom anyway, just in case I get hungry and don't have time for lunch. So I'm aware that it's there, and I always keep it current as far as the date is concerned. So that's pretty easy to do. And again, I'm not putting together a bag for the zombie apocalypse. I'm putting together a bag to get home. 99% of the time I'll just drive. On the 1% of the time that I might have to walk, it's only going to take me 3 to 4 hours to walk home from just about anywhere I would normally go. And so I just need, and if I have to sit tight for 2 or 3 days, this will sustain me for 2 or 3 days without any problem at all. So that's food. And then if I am hunkered down in the classroom or in a hotel or whatever, or at my son's place or wherever I happen to be, and the power's out, there's nothing to do, or there's no other entertainment, I've got my Bible to read, I got glasses so I can do it. If I get bored, I threw a harmonica in there. I like to play the guitar. I also play the harmonica. I don't play either one well, but I can play them. I can't put a guitar in my pocket, but I can put a harmonica in my pocket, and I can make up songs. That's just made up. I can play songs. Whatever, right? And that'll give me something to do, maybe entertain whoever's with me at the same time. So that goes in there, weighs nothing. So there you go, there's the bag. That's what's going to be in it. Obviously, when I leave, let's say, for example, I do have to walk, I'm not carrying all this stuff. I'm going to pare it down so that all that's in the bag is what I know I need for that particular trip. So if I have to leave stuff in the truck, I have to leave stuff in the classroom, whatever, I'm certainly not taking my laptop with me. I'm not taking the laptop and all the accessories and like that. I don't want to carry the weight. If it's summertime and it's screaming hot, I don't need to carry a beanie. I'll just take the boonie hat, right? If it's screaming hot, I don't need a poncho. I'll take it out. So it's just some examples. If I know I'm not going to need a piece of equipment because of the weather or the situation, there's no reason to carry it. A very good friend of mine, I think I mentioned it earlier the other day, or maybe I mentioned it earlier in the video, I don't know. But he used to talk about the fact that it's got to have a purpose. If it doesn't have a purpose, there's no reason to carry it. And that was his sort of motto as a Marine. If it didn't make sense to carry, there's no reason to carry a heavy pack when you don't need a heavy pack. So it's a general bag so that I have in it whatever I may need because I don't have to carry it. It's going in the truck. In the event that I actually have to put it on my back and go for a while, then I'm going to pare it down to just what I need for that particular event. And as I mentioned before, I have other bags if I go to other areas. This one is just for my normal stuff I do here in San Diego County. So that's the purpose of the bag. If you have other suggestions, by the way, the suggestion from the subscriber about the gloves was brilliant. I have had people suggest a Sawyer water filter or some kind of water filter. I'm in San Diego, there's not a lot of water to filter, so I don't know how useful that would be, but I do have a bunch of them. I'll probably stick one in there just because it's better to have it and not need it than the other way around. And then if I find I don't need it, I can always, stow it at the classroom or in the truck or whatever when I'm walking back. So there you go. I think that about covers it. If you have any suggestions about the bag or any criticisms or whatever, stick them in the comments. Have a great week. Thank you very much for all of your help and all of your support. I really appreciate it. And wherever you go, whatever you do, stay safe.